She founded an architectural concrete company.
He founded a $100 million clothing company.
She took the world by storm as a social media star.
He took the world by storm as a famous serial entrepreneur.
Together we started a business.
And had babies.
Now we're figuring out the best ways to do both.
Join us as we learn from other entrepreneurs going through the same life struggles.
As they share their life hacks about success, love, kids.
And everything in between.
Welcome to the Pretty and Punk podcast. My name is Dan Caldwell, here with my beautiful co-host, Ildiko Ferenzi. I was saying...
Stop. Why is this even... You just mess with me every day.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It sounded good either way. So, welcome to the Pretty and Punk podcast. I wanted to do today's podcast, which I think is a very special podcast, because we wanted to talk about the business that we run together and kind of explain how we started it, how we got into it, and maybe that for a few reasons. One, to show that there's inspiration everywhere for people who haven't started a business yet. And
because this wasn't something that we planned. And a lot of people have been emailing us asking about our business and how we fell into it. Even getting a lot of publicity lately in news outlets. They've been asking about the story. So we thought it would be the perfect time to share with you guys.
What are you drinking?
Matcha, green tea.
I have my green juice, and so we are ready to go for it. If you don't know, the company that we started together is called Billionaire Collectables. And I think it's where should we start? Like,
well,
how we kind of fell into it?
Yeah.
Well, no, what were we doing at the time?
Let's go way back. I mean, we had our own things. We were doing our own things, and we wanted to do something together, and we weren't sure what that was going to be. We were actually, at the time, planning a business podcast together, but just life kept happening. Things kept happening. I got pregnant, and but
how did that happen?
I don't know. Like,
go ahead,
stork?
I'm sorry.
I don't know. 10.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so we were really looking, we wanted to create something together to the point where we prayed about it. We were asking for signs, praying for answers.
And we wanted it to be special because there's so many, you just if you're doing something together, you just want it to be something that you guys both vibe with,
are passionate
that both
about.
You're excited to get up in the morning and get started on and work on, where it doesn't become work, right?
Right. Like with Tap Out, that was your passion. And even with the concrete business, it made sense to me, the architectural concrete company, because of my mom and we would flip homes, and the concrete was ugly. So I always remember hating that feature. Like, we just didn't have enough money to fix the concrete. So the concrete company made sense to me. And we were really looking for something that made sense to the both of us.
At that point, we kind of just got to the point where we said, okay, let's just let the universe
show us a sign.
Yeah, just
God,
let's just not push it too hard.
Yeah.
Let's let it find us.
That's right.
Because we'd been so frustrated trying to throw out ideas together, we would just, make it it was more of a casual thing.
We for sure knew we were going to do the business podcast.
And we talked about flipping homes together too. We were like, oh, should we go in to start flipping homes? I had a real estate company with my brother, and we thought, okay, we could go in to start flipping homes together.
Because that felt like home to me.
Because we both did that. Mm-hmm. So we both understood the house flipping business. But it was just like, it just didn't feel right at that time.
Yeah.
And we wanted to find something that just felt right. So we just said, let's just stop. Let's just throw our hands up here, and let's just let God show us what we should be doing.
Right. Because you'll feel it in your gut. Like, you knew with Tap Out, I knew with the concrete company. I also knew with the bikini line. I was working on a bikini line kind of quietly, and it was going very well. I was doing a lot of photo shoots with the modeling, with the acting. It just made sense.
And a lot of people were wearing your bikini.
I was wearing a lot of my own designs, and everybody was asking me, even when we went to, where did we go?
We were in Ibiza.
Ibiza, Cannes. Everybody was asking
model
me.
shooting with them.
Right. We even had celebrities there asking about my bikini and how they wanted to wear it, how they can get it. It was crazy. So in my gut, I felt like this is the right thing. This is the right thing to do. We even had
but it was your own thing.
Yeah, it was my own thing.
And it was leaning your way.
But I kept trying to pull you in. I was like, you were in fashion before. Why don't you want to do this with me? It's so great. We went to Monaco. The owner of the hotel, the best hotel in Monaco. He's like, come back anytime. Shoot at my hotel. Like it felt like everything flowed so smoothly. But
I just didn't want to be in the clothing business anymore.
You didn't want to be around all those hot chicks all day long.
That part wasn't so bad, but I just was tired of clothing.
You were done.
I just wanted to move on to something new.
Right.
And so we just said, okay, let's just keep our eyes open and see what runs into us.
Right. And then I got pregnant, and we thought it was going to be a girl. Just genetically, we figured. I don't know. I felt that it was going to be a girl. And then after it made sense that.
And didn't they tell us it was a girl at first? When on the sonograms, I think they said, I think you might, we can't be sure.
No, okay. So I had an emergency situation. You were in LA.
Yeah.
And it was very scary because I didn't think I could get pregnant for the longest time. And man, I totally forgot about this. 3 months in, I started to bleed and I had to go to the hospital. I called Dan. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I got to go see if the baby's okay. I went. They were looking for the heartbeat. It was really traumatic. They found.
Yeah, you called me worried that they didn't find a heartbeat.
And she said something about so I don't know. It was just a really hectic day. And after that moment, I thought that it was a girl, and maybe she just said that.
I think they said they couldn't find something, the important part.
But it was still very young.
Yeah, it was still early on. They said we shouldn't be doing this yet, but I think it's a girl. And so I don't want you to get too emotional because we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. We're talking about fun stuff, good stuff. Anyway, it all turned out beautifully. And when I found out that I was having a son, the bikini line and the lights and the camera and the red carpets and that fast life, that was great. But I just really knew in my gut, all of a sudden it all made sense that I want my son to rub shoulders with the right people. I remember what it meant to me when I was working in my mom's jewelry store. There was really hardworking entrepreneurs, and they all had these great stories. And so many of them failed in life before they came to success. And all of a sudden, we just knew that was the type of business we wanted to be in, but we didn't know what that was yet. But that was certain. That we were positive about that. And then we watched a movie.
One night, we're watching a movie, The Walk, about something that I had never. I mean, I'd learned about a little bit beforehand when I watched A Man on Wire, but about this man, Philippe Petit, who put a wire from one side of the Twin Towers in New York to the other side and walked across it. Now, I literally, the first time I heard this story, I thought, this isn't true. There's no way that I what was he, 190 floors above the earth? Something crazy. I can't remember the exact floor number that the Twin Towers were, but just the
impossible.
thought that you could walk across that. I just thought, there's no way. I had to look it up to be sure that this was a true story because I couldn't believe that this had really happened.
And even in the film, he said it's impossible, but I'll do it.
Yeah. And so we watched the film that night, and we just, at the end of the film, right at the end of the show, we just started having this discussion about how inspirational.
How it made us feel.
This guy had done something that was illegal. Like he couldn't even do it. He wasn't allowed to do it. He had snuck up there, put this wire across between two. If you guys don't know the story, put this wire between the two towers and walked across it, and then all of a sudden everybody wakes up in the morning to go to work, and they're seeing this guy up on the walking this high wire. And I thought that's so incredible and such an inspirational story. You know, think about and just the parallels between like starting a business. Like he felt this was calling him, like somebody being called to start their own business, whatever that might be. But how many obstacles were probably put in front of him when he was trying to do this and complete this, and yet he was still able to do it and accomplish what he had set out to do. And there was that moment,
remember, when he was practicing and he wasn't quite done, but he was all happy, and he looked down and he started to tremble, and he nearly took a dive. And his mentor said that most walkers die when they think that they have arrived, but they're like 3 steps off from making it. And that was really powerful too.
Yeah, kind of like somebody who's starting a business and you know, starting to make money and starting to do well, and they kind of just let off the gas and stop paying attention to their numbers and what's going on. All of a sudden they lose their business. And there's so many great parallels in the story. And we just started having this like deep conversation, like we're back and forth talking about how entrepreneurs would be so inspired by this guy's story, and that what if we could like connect the pieces, like we put something like an artistic piece. We didn't know if it was like an artistic piece that people could put in their offices that would inspire people.
Right, and because that movie, it touched us both in this way that sparked so much passion, we wanted to find a document by him. And that was our kind of nerd moment.
I think they showed this. They showed like this little license at the end that said he was able to go to the towers whenever he wanted to. And I thought, man, wouldn't that be cool to own that? To like, I mean, if I looked at that and held that every single day, it would be like an inspirational piece to me.
But it was supposed to have a time limit, and they said that forever.
Yeah, his was like forever. Like he could go back to the Twin Towers anytime he wanted for free. So anyways, that was just a side note, but I was just thinking like how inspirational this whole story could be for any entrepreneur. And then we started talking about, well, like, yeah, and what about like an Abraham Lincoln letter or a George Washington letter or a Steve Jobs letter or something, you know, these documents that inspire, or these things that would inspire people, or anything from these people, you know, that something that they had held before in their hands and maybe signed their name to, something that would let you know when you held it, you would feel as close as you've ever been to Steve Jobs. Imagine, we can never be close to Steve Jobs in a way other than reading his book. We'll never be closer than that, or watching a movie. But imagine holding something that he's held before. Just that I don't know what it does for other people, but for me, that connection that I get, or holding a document from, you know, I had some other collected pieces that I had collected throughout the years, like a Thomas Edison photo, and a Theodore Roosevelt photo that I had signed by him, and the Thomas Edison signed by him. And just holding that, knowing that when, you know, 100 years ago, he held this photo of himself and signed his name to it. That's the closest I'll ever be to Thomas Edison.
Right, but why is it so important? Because they had so many moments where they didn't think they were going to make it, but they kept going anyway. Steve Jobs, he started the first leg of his legacy in a garage.
Yeah.
And, you know, when he should have given up.
Stories.
Right, he should have given up a few times, but he didn't. He kept going, and his legacy lives on. So that's why
he'd been fired from his own company. I mean, who doesn't give up at that point? You know, just walk away at that point.
Yeah.
Or Thomas Edison, who said, you know, I've not failed 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work. I mean, imagine he should have quit a million times at all the things he was doing. The most prolific inventor of the last century.
So this pinnacle moment started us thinking, like, okay, we're along the right lines. And it felt like home to me too, because my mom, who was going through a divorce, she was a collector as well. So this wasn't anything new to me. Dan was a collector. it just made sense, and we felt it in our gut, and then we
didn't
got
know there was a
creative.
market for it either.
We didn't know that there was a market for this, and we just started creating and making pieces, and it turned into a beautifully framed document married with their most famous quote. And it was goosebump moments when we had our first piece.
Yeah, we got our first few pieces done, and they looked so great. And I remember we hung some on our walls, and I just thought, oh my gosh, when an entrepreneur, the only person that I feel like understands this, but not that other people won't understand this too. I know how hard it is to be an entrepreneur, and when you're first starting your own business, what that comes with. And sometimes just the little bit of inspiration, like
sometimes
a quote,
it feels like the world is against you.
The world is always against you. And I can remember driving down the road, and I was in Riverside, and up on this movie theater, this old movie theater that was shut down. Somebody had put, in the area where you put like what movies are coming, they put, if you can dream it, you can do it. And this is back when, that's a famous quote now, but at this time, I'd never heard that quote before. And it said Walt Disney. And I'd never heard that before. And I thought, wow, it just stayed with me, and it resonated with me. And at that time, our business was kind of just getting off the ground, tap out. And we were, always going through all the problems that any young business goes through. And I just kept always thinking about that. And I'd always recite it to myself, and I'd wrote it on a piece of paper and hung it in my bathroom. And I would always look at it and just, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I knew I was always dreaming about this idea that this business was going to blow up and what we were going to be able to accomplish with it. And it just always pushed me to, push a little harder and keep going when I felt like quitting.
And that's a quote that I feel is so powerful to so many entrepreneurs out there. Like, that is one that we are all familiar with too well. And I loved how when we had the discussion and we discovered that quotes was something that got us through the dark times, through our whole life. I remember my mom sticking a quote on my wall when I was a little girl. Like, it just started feeling right. I'm like, this is really starting to make sense.
I think that, and I think what's so important about this right now is that it's literally the best time in history for people to start their own businesses. And it shows that because some of the pieces, and just so we can be frank, and your mom did this too, actually. I remember her story, that the first few pieces that we made were pieces that I just used of my own collection.
Yeah, my own collection, your own collection.
We just
put
took
it together.
those pieces and we framed them with a quote from that person. And it just became, okay, we got our first few pieces. Here's our first pieces that we'll sell.
Isn't it laughable that these are things that we had, but they were hidden in a safe? And it's like, why are these things hidden? They need to be on a pedestal. They need to inspire not only yourself. Like, you can't just pull them out of your safe. You have to hang it on the wall and share it with your whole family and your colleagues and your employees.
Yeah, and I think that it tells people that you can start right now where you are with what you have sometimes.
That's right.
And for those of you who don't have a business going yet and are looking to maybe start a business, I just go, our life is so short.
Yes.
And that, I recently saw a post about somebody who had been at their job for a while, and they were had reached, a certain amount of years at their job. And I thought, man, I am, not that I'm sure they might love what they do. I don't know. But personally, I would feel at a point like, man, I right now I need to start doing something, because for me to look back at some point in my life and go, this is what I did with my life, I would just feel like I missed out on the best parts of life sometimes. And not that we love our kids too, and that's what we still, and this is what this whole show's about, is that we know that that's a huge part of your life. But equally, in a lot of ways, I feel like I have to push myself to do things every single day that drive me, that excite me, that wake me up in the morning.
Right.
And if you don't have that, that's how you get depressed.
Right. That's important. And that's what I really wanted my firstborn son to see, us doing what we loved, what we were passionate about, and that it's okay. I thought it was a swimwear line. And it's okay to change.
To pivot.
It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay because it felt right. And your gut will tell you you're going to fall on such amazing blessings and signs if you just ask for them. And that's what happened.
So inspiration is everywhere. So no matter what you're doing, and just from the, for us, it was that movie that like sparked this in us.
This thing that we didn't even plan.
Didn't even know. It wasn't even on our radar.
And we had the inventory, and we never would have dreamt about using it, a few years ago.
Not for this,
It was going to stay. It was going to stay in the same.
Well, it was an investment.
Yep. That's right.
And for you, inspiration is everywhere. Like no matter, you might be driving down the road and see that you don't like the car model, and you have a guy like DeLorean who goes and starts it. Not that his situation turned out the best, but there are guys, or Tucker. I mean, you have these guys who might go, I can make a better car, or I can make a better magazine. Somebody decides they want to start their own magazine, or somebody says they want to start their own make their own wallet.
Right.
Whatever that might be, whatever wakes you up that morning, or if you want to start a company with your wife or significant other, that, what drives you two together? Where are you guys, when you guys the most happy together? What is that one thing that you guys do? And
explore these ideas out loud. As soon as I got pregnant, we knew we really wanted the baby to be healthy and, just live this life of health. We were talking about baby food and baby food delivery. Remember, we were talking about all kinds of stuff and just saying it out loud. You got to say it out loud and explore it, and you'll just feel it. You'll just feel it.
Yeah, I think
pray. Don't forget to pray about it. Meditate about it. You'll get the signs.
Yeah, I think that was really important for us to talk those things out loud, and have these conversations where sometimes they lead you to a dead end road. I mean, we sometimes talk about things where like, but I don't really want to do that. I like the part about creating the brand. I like the part about certain things, but I don't want to be, to maybe do this certain business. We have to live in Los Angeles full time, and maybe we don't want to be there all the time.
And this gives us the freedom.
Or we got to be shipping or whatever that might be.
Right. And this one gave us the freedom to spend the time with our baby, well, now 2 babies, and then also rub shoulders with the right people. Again, entrepreneurs and leaders that may have failed several times, and they can share their stories and talk about because they always talk about their stories. And now Daniel gets to overhear that. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what I had envisioned. And he says it, what was it, the other day? I can't remember what something wasn't working. And he looked at me, he says, Mom, don't give up. You can do it.
You can do anything.
You can do anything. And it's like, amen. Like, that's what I wanted his mindset to be. And even before he could barely speak, do you remember, like, he used to help us ship those pieces off? And it's just, this is such a wonderful gift and such a wonderful blessing. And even with quarantine going on right now, we're getting requests.
Because people, we just sold a couple 2-3 pieces to this guy, and sometimes it's that they're doing Zoom calls and they just want something in the background so that it,
a nice conversation.
It's a conversation piece. People look at it and they, oh, what is that in your background?
Everybody's doing the coronavirus makeover because they're working from home now. Their office is in their home, and they want to just redecorate.
And they operate on Zoom.
Facelift, yes.
So, and you know what's one thing is when we first started the business, we couldn't figure out why. We couldn't figure out a way to sell. We knew it was a great idea, but we couldn't figure out what was going to be the way we would be selling these items. We didn't know if that would be through Facebook ads. We didn't know if that would be if we wanted to open a gallery. We weren't quite sure, and we were starting to hit a roadblock a little bit. We'd created a bunch of pieces, and we sold.
It was all people with similar mindsets like ourselves, but how do you find all those people around the world?
And they're not cheap pieces. So some of the pieces, for example, they might be somewhere between $2,000 and $200,000. So we've sold some very, very expensive George Washington pieces. We sold a very expensive Steve Jobs piece.
Well, we knew we were on the right track when we sold the Steve Jobs piece. And all of a sudden, press came to us and they wanted to know more about this because they've never even heard of anything.
Yeah,
like
there's
They're like, what?
Because
you
typically
put
it's
a document together with a quote. That is the most amazing thing we've ever heard of. And press came to us.
Yeah, there were people that traded documents there are people out there that trade documents, but typically it was seen as like this older person's sport.
Right. And then they hide them in their safe.
Yeah, because it's an investment. It's a huge investment.
And they'll pull it out once in a while and look at it all by themselves. How's that supposed to inspire everyone around them?
So the fact that we could frame this piece up and people could hang it in their office with a quote attached to it, and not only is an investment and a conversation piece, but it's inspirational to them. So how much is it really worth if it inspires you every single day? What is that investment worth?
It's good money spent.
And we've had basketball players and baseball players buy stuff from us. We've had different several attorneys. We had a few museums actually buy a few pieces.
Yeah,
which was kind of cool because we try to pick very significant pieces that are exciting just to own. Just the idea. We had a Marilyn Monroe contract that we felt was like geared towards the female entrepreneur. And what was the quote? It was something like a woman in heels could conquer the world. Give me the right heels and I'd conquer the world. That's what it was. And just a great quote for that woman who's
letting him struggle for a minute.
Yeah. But just a great quote, but it was an actual contract of Marilyn Monroe's from 20th Century Fox. Just a really cool piece for that right person, and that ended up going to a museum.
Yeah, we didn't intend for that to happen. It just happened. They scooped it up before.
But anyways, we couldn't figure out where we were going to. How we were going to market this piece, because at first it was really hard to sell an item. We couldn't figure out what are we going to do. Are we going to market these on Facebook? Are we going to put out ads? Or we just didn't understand, because we had tried that and it wasn't working, and so we weren't selling anything. And we started to spend some real money, a couple $1,000s on some marketing just to kind of feel, if we could get a sale going. And some of the feedback and some of what we had realized was that these pricier pieces, it was going to take a little bit more conversation with the person. And so that might maybe mean a webinar or a different tactic for pushing these pieces and helping people find the website. But then we kind of fell into, we started networking with people and like face-to-face. And what we realized that good old-fashioned face-to-face networking and sales became our best avenue.
Old school.
Yeah, just really old school. So you just when you think that the internet marketing is and not that you that's not going to work.
Because my partner and I, we built the concrete company in such an old school manner as well, word of mouth, even pamphlets on homes that weren't quite done. And you did total old school with tap
a lot of that was pre.
And the jewelry. Well, of course. And my mom's jewelry store, we did old school.
Today we would do tap out different.
If you're doing something right, I really believe that word of mouth is what's going to
it goes to show you that stuff is still, you can't count any of that out. And that stuff is still important. And for us, selling a high-priced item to a specific customer, that being another entrepreneur or somebody who was, who had started their own business, that it was going to be that face-to-face connection that there's a great book by Gary Vee, that jab, jab, right hook, I think it's called. But basically, creating this relationship, or you may already have a relationship with some of these people, and then how can I help them? How can I help them before we go in for that ask? Or really, we never ask anybody. We just tell people about what we do. And
it's contagious.
Yeah, and the questions start coming. Like, what is it? And
who is it that inspired me to do my business? Oh, it's someone very specific. And they ask us to hunt down, like modern day Indiana Jones, hunt down a document by this or that person.
Yeah, by Enzo Ferrari or
whoever inspired them.
We recently had this. He didn't end up picking it up, but he had asked for this Ettore Bugatti piece, and was wondering, because he owns a Bugatti, he wanted this specific piece. And we found out how hard it was to find something by Ettore Bugatti, the founder of Bugatti. It's really hard, and there's not many pieces out there. We found one piece. It was $100,000, a little more than we wanted to spend. We didn't really like the piece either. If it was a good piece, maybe it would have been something that it would have been on the table, but it just wasn't the type of piece that we wanted. And we ended up finding a piece in Germany that was just the perfect piece at a great price, and we ended up picking it up, and we're glad to have it now. We have it in the collection now. I don't really want to get rid of it. I got to get the Bugatti first.
That's the hard part, because they're all one of a kind, and you kind of fall in love with them while creating each piece.
When you're putting it together and you're starting to marry that quote, like, what's the perfect quote for this person? I love holding, when we get in like a great document from Abraham Lincoln or Benjamin Franklin, holding a letter like this, and this was held. There's feeling
like an
that you get, it's literally, there's energy coming out of this letter when you're holding this letter that Abraham Lincoln held at one time, or George Washington. We've had a few George Washington pieces come through, and just incredible to hold a George Washington piece over 200 years old, and knowing that he held this and signed his name to it, a wartime
because we know
document.
the history behind it, and it's just like, this is what he was going through in his life. And
so many of these leaders have such great quotes, so it's just fun to find the right quote and marry it to this beautiful piece.
Well, that's what we do.
And
that's what we do.
And it's a great. So and this, and you can tell, if you can't tell, we get excited about this stuff, and we nerd out on it a little bit, just because I think that's what you want to have when you have a business. You want to be excited to get up every single morning and talk about it and work on it and think about it. And we're excited when we can, we've flown to different places and
when we track down someone's wish list, because we can't guarantee that we can find these items, but when we do,
the right item, it's like sometimes you can find items they're too expensive or they're not the right piece. You want something that feels right, that feels like it's an important piece, that feels like it's a one of a kind that you'll never see again. And you want to be excited when you hand that piece over. I love to see people's faces when we hand them over a piece. And, and they see it for the first time, and they're like just blown away. We have one buyer who just keeps coming back to us like,
it's addicting.
Hey, send me over what's the latest Thomas Edison piece you have? And he'll ask me for all of them.
We have several people around the world. Not one.
Well, no, I'm saying this one guy who is always asking me to send him pieces.
Oh, constantly. Yeah. Yes, constantly. But I feel like once we sell one, we don't even get to display it in the gallery, because
it goes
it's
so
hot
fast.
Off the shelf.
Yeah,
sorry. My son was just about my son was kind of falling, and Daddy had to catch up.
See, we're multitasking here. So anyways, I just wanted you guys to hear this coming straight from us. So, because we're talking a lot about the business, I thought we keep talking about, we should talk about, nobody knows what our business is together.
What we really do,
and
or how we fell on it.
Yeah, we say Billionaire Collectables.
It wasn't planned. It was not planned. Not in a million years, I never thought that we would come up with this idea. And I feel like that happens to a lot of people out there. You got to keep your eyes open, your ears open, and it's going to make sense. You're going to feel it in your gut. And maybe in 5 years we may change our mind and do something else, and that's okay too. But right now, this feels right.
I would hope that you guys find yourself in our story, see that, hey, sometimes we're like that or we talk like that. It's like if you keep pushing that creativeness between yourselves, if you and your wife are thinking about starting a business, or maybe you already have a business.
Oh my gosh, right now we're getting the emails, like so many of you are a little bit scared. You're losing your jobs. You're afraid, but you want to do this business together with your significant other, the love of your life. And right now is the time. Even
if it's a side hustle, even if it's not something that you're expecting to bring in all the income for your household, if it's a side hustle, it could be a total side hustle, something besides your business, give you a reason to be happy when you get off of work, or maybe even think about, I can remember one of my jobs, I was half the time I was working, I probably shouldn't have been, but I was working on my company stuff in my head anyways. I was thinking about what I was going to do as soon as I got off of work and what things I needed to do.
You're dreaming. You're dreaming about the next thing. You felt in your heart that you weren't in the right place, so you were dreaming.
Absolutely.
Everybody does that. I think that it's definitely okay, because that's what leads to the great things in life.
So I hope this podcast helped you a little bit, helped you kind of work through some of those ideas through your head. I hope that you guys are thinking about those things constantly. If you already have your business, I hope maybe you see yourself in our business, see yourself on how maybe you can other things that you might be able to do to inspire each other, or maybe things you could switch gears on.
And you may have your inventory in a safe or in the garage or in that spare room. You may already have the inventory, not even know it.
Yeah, like your mom who started her own antique store. Yeah.
Well, my mom had no choice. That's
didn't have any money.
She had no money, and she's a proud European woman that's not gonna beg anyone for $1. And she just came up with the idea of, I'm gonna sell my collection. I have antiques.
I'm gonna start selling them.
I'm gonna, and she loved it. She loved it. And she helped other people too with taking some consignment on from other people that were struggling or in the same situation as her. And it's just incredible.
Inspiration is everywhere.
That's right.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys can share this with a friend. If you can, we're looking for people to share this and hopefully leave a good comment below.
Wait, let's talk about the contest.
Oh, yeah.
Every month we have a contest where we give away $1,000. It can go towards your business, towards your relationship.
If you're starting a business.
Or a little staycation getaway, something to bring your family together.
Sometimes people who have a business already need a vacation.
Whatever feels right. Or maybe you want to give it away to someone you see struggling, at your church. Whatever you feel is right to do. What you need to do is you need to review, rate, and share. Take a snapshot of that and email it to us at www.
That's the .com. They can't email to www.
No, but I don't know. Shut up. Stop it. I'm going to beat you after. No, go to our website. It's easy. Go to our website. And then I think the little pop-up will be there. Yeah. And then you can email us.
Okay.
Stop it.
I can resist. Okay, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
I've got mommy brain, okay? I'm not always on point.
I'm sorry.
Dude, I've been breastfeeding for 5 years straight. Sometimes I'm at seriously.
And no excuses on this podcast.
I'm at a loss for words.
No excuses
sometimes
on this podcast.
I can't think of a word. It's mom problems. Moms, please.
Okay, thank you guys for tuning in.
Do you feel me, moms?
Next week, we're going to have another great interview, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. We love you.